potential users there that for whatever reason are not using it right now. Continuous customer service training program should be implemented, and we put the last bullet point on here. Decline of golf user fee revenue should be addressed specifically in the strategic long-range plan. When I asked why is it in there, they said that's why you guys are here. And I know that's obviously going to be revisited as you go forward, because it is an important part, and we're glad to be able to try and give some direction.
You may want to stand. Yeah, this is only one page. On your other amenities, I guess there was some discussion up front as to whether there should be charges for things like tennis, swimming, and fitness. I think it's our sense that until those facilities are kind of overwhelmed, that tennis, swimming, and fitness should continue to be amenity offerings with those expenses built into the budget. Now, depending on what you do with your spa and fitness plan, over time, I don't know, at some point you may want to consider a separate charge, or perhaps certain offerings that would be charged for in spa and fitness. But it's kind of traditional right now that the fitness facilities, the machines, be part of the overall budget of the community. And, again, we think that there should be marketing in terms of trying to drive participation in these other sports areas. We were here one day and we were quite impressed with the number of people at an exercise class in the pool.
You couldn't drag that out any longer for me? Let me get a drink of water? We work together a lot, if you can tell. The next part was to try and take some of the benchmark data that you saw earlier in terms of the industry and how costs are covered, be it through user fees or assessments. So the first column here that you see is the Sierra benchmarks that you saw earlier in terms of where do we get our dollar of income from. And again, what we tried to do then was we said, okay, your audited financial statements in 2009, excluding development funding, had total revenue of 4153235. If that revenue had come from the same type of sources as the industry average, what would the numbers look like? Okay, what's it going to look like? So we applied the industry averages to the total revenue that came out, compared it to what the audited financial statements said, and you guys can see that B minus C, the excess, is the difference from the industry optimal pricing. And we call that optimal pricing because the communities that we deal with, everyone's got their issues, we all know that. But the communities that we deal with, because pretty much we wouldn't deal with them if we didn't think they were financially solvent, viable, and they didn't give us too big a headache. That's what comes out there. So when we see it, looks like your audited financial statement said you get $2.4 million, 2.44 from assessments based on the industry average. Your assessments should have kicked in 2,599, and that's sort of the theory. So we got 153. If you want to say it this way, we got 153,000 less from assessments than the average. We got 50,000 less from member services, other, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. Not a significant piece. We got $285,000 more from golf revenue than the industry average, saying we should, that we could. And then food and beverage, you can see the difference there again. So we divided that by 1,406 because everyone obviously wonders what that comes back to in terms of assessments. And it looks like you could say that possibly we should have got an extra $9 from assessments, and $3 from other services, $5 from food and beverage. And that would have decreased our allowance on golf by the $17 you see there per house to zero out. What we did here was looked at the percentage of assessments that you guys needed to break even, and obviously your major departments here. We included this transition expense was a separate line item there, but obviously admin's a big one, member services, food services, pro shop and golf course together, facilities maintenance is obviously another big one. And again, these are from your audited financial statements. In your audited financial statements in 2007, your golf revenue exceeded your golf expenses, so that's why that purple one on the left is underneath the line. In 2008, we needed 5% of the assessment to cover the cost of golf. And then 2009, it was a small total loss, but basically it was negligible, but it shows up as 0% in here. Take that. So again, what we said, well, what does the industry look at in terms of the subsidization of various amenity costs? To come back to the parameters that we referred to earlier, what are other CROs doing with regards to that? So your expenses as a percentage of assessments, they're right at break even for the department. 28% was the average. You guys again projected based on when we got the numbers a couple of months ago. 7%. And again, you can see the minimal in 2009 to 0.4%. Again, you can see there food and beverage, 10%, 4% for heritage pines, and right through the admin and common grounds. So again, trying to project, okay, this is one model, this is one way that the industry is doing it. If we take golf course and pro shop costs, again, this 1192 projection was the last number we had. And we say, okay, we need to subsidize, that's going to represent 28% of our dues to cover that cost. Our assessment revenue for 2010 projected 2446, times 28% says, hey, the assessment should be picking up $685,000 towards the golf course costs. That means we need $507,000 for user fees. Projected user fees were $1 million. Excess revenue from user fees, $495,000. You can see we tickets per homeowner per month. And again, clearly, you can see, saying, okay, the subsidy there for golf should be $41. And basically, we're saying we really haven't needed that. Again, that's clearly a huge move where we are right now. So again, we come back to the concept, this is process. But again, these are parameters that are out there in the industry. We came at it from the expense side and from the revenue side, so you guys can see what's going on in the rest of the industry. So again, optimal pricing, optimal revenue analysis. We suggest that golf revenues are generating $17 a month for these loose fees, and it could be generated instead from other sources, including maintenance fees. Come out from the expense side, we suggest an additional $41 per month per home should be right. It's actually $41. I think you should take the word additional, right? From community-wide assessments. Ultimately, optimal revenue and expense analysis both suggest reliance on revenue from golf user fees should be decreased to align Heritage Pines budget philosophy with that practice. Assuming a break-even budget, in the absence of cost savings in other areas, then maintenance fees should increase, maintenance fees will increase based on what we're seeing. So when we put all this together and we looked at the decline in the golf revenues, we looked at everything else, we're saying, okay, we need to look hard at where the assessments may need to go. Now, some of this is looking forward over 5 years. You're not there yet. There are issues in terms of process. There are issues in terms of service. There are clearly issues in terms of tee time. And again, one of our recommendations is definitely again to take a look at this tee time situation to see what other revenue there is possible to come from the golf before we go down this path of saying we must increase assessment. So there's a number of moving parts here.